Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank Mularcik, and in this video we're going to be taking a look at Robinhood's IPO, and along with that looking at some of their S1 filings, just looking at some of the details in there that I think are important. I certainly did not read the whole thing, but I did look at a fair bit of it, and I just wanted to share that with you guys. And then we're also going to be taking a look at the investment that I did make in Robinhood, and maybe I made a lot of money, maybe I lost some, but you guys will have to stick around to the end of the video to find that out. So first we're going to be looking at the S1 document, and right now we're just looking under the segment that talks about their business. And there's a few points here I wanted to look at. So they do talk about, the number of their accounts, which I think is one of their strong selling points, or something they would talk a lot about positively. So they say as of March 31st, 2021, we had 18 million net cumulative funded accounts on our platform, and from January 2015 to March 31st, 2021, over half of the customers funding accounts on our platform told us that Robinhood was their first brokerage account. We believe that close to 50% of all new retail funded accounts opened in the United States from 2016 to 2021 were new accounts created on Robinhood, based on data from publicly reporting peer brokerages. So I think that is a pretty staggering metric if that is in fact true, that 50% of accounts or retail accounts were created on Robinhood. That seems a little improbable to me, to be honest, just because of how many other brokerages there are, and how popular it seems to me that a lot of other brokerages are as well, even with people that are still getting into investing. So then they talk here about their basic offerings to their customers. So they offer trading in stocks and ETFs, as well as options. They offer cryptocurrency trading through their subsidiary. They offer fractional trading, though I will note that they only have it says 7 different cryptocurrencies as of March 31st, 2021. They really don't have nearly as many cryptocurrencies available as something like Coinbase. So in my opinion, it's not exactly comparable. But they do have fractional trading, which enables our customers, regardless of budget, to build a diversified portfolio and access stocks previously out of reach. So that's something I honestly really like. Recurring investments. So basically you can set up to invest, $10 into Apple stock every week, and it just automatically does that for you, which I think is pretty nice. They have the new IPO access thing. Of course, they had to, get that before their IPO. So that sort of enables customers to buy shares in participating IPOs at the price before the trading begins. And you kind of, before the day of the IPO, you submit your interest, I guess, and then it's sort of a lottery type thing where it's kind of random, like you may or may not get shares depending on the demand and what price you're willing to pay and all that stuff. And then they have cash management, which is sort of like a banking type thing. You can have a debit card and withdraw and stuff like that. And then they have Robinhood Gold, which is a paid subscription service. You can get margin investing and better NASDAQ market data, which is all pretty nice, I guess. I've never used that, but those are just some of their features that they offer. And then down here, they actually talk about some of their financial numbers, which is always really cool to see. So it says for the year ended December 31st, 2020, as compared to the year ended December 31st, 2019, their revenue grew 245% to 959 million from 278 million. And they had net income of 7 million compared to a net loss of 107 million in 2019. So that's good that at least in 2020 they were profitable, and their adjusted EBITDA was 155 million compared to negative 74 million in 2019. And then they do talk about the first quarter of 2021, and in that case their revenue grew 300% from March 31st, 2020 and to 522 million, which is up from 128 million, which is pretty staggering if you compare that to the full year of 2020. So basically in the first quarter of 2021, they had half the revenue, or more than half the revenue that they had in all of 2020. And then they did have a net loss of 1.4 billion in the first quarter of 2021. I'm not exactly sure what that's about. It said it includes a 1.5 billion fair value adjustment to our convertible notes and warranted liability. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not smart enough to really know what exactly that means. But I'm thinking that's sort of like a one-time thing, I would hope, because that's a pretty big loss, in the billions of dollars when they're profit before was 7 million, so hopefully they can do better. And then their adjusted EBITDA was 115 million compared to negative 47 million in 2019. So overall, the financial numbers, I don't think, just looking at these basic numbers, I don't think they look too bad. They did have a net income in all of 2020, which I would say a lot of IPO companies probably do not. So, that's not too bad in my eyes. We're going to move on here to the next segment. I opened it in a new tab here. So they definitely talk some about this payment for order flow thing. And if you see RHF and RHS, it's kind of confusing. They have two different sort of companies. They have Robinhood Financial, which sort of just manages, the accounts and, from my understanding, more like administrative stuff, I guess. And then Robinhood Securities, which is actually the clearinghouse and the brokerage, that routes their trades, or at least like executes the trades and all that type of stuff. So they have to route the orders to market makers. And there's various aspects to go into that, but basically they say down here, Robinhood routes orders to market makers and exchange receives consideration. With respect to equities and options trading, such fees are known as payment for order flow. With respect to cryptocurrency, we receive transaction rebates. As of March 31st, Robinhood had relationships with 5 equity market makers and 4 option market makers, and for the year ended December 31st, 2020, revenue derived from payment for order flow and transaction rebates represented 75% of our total revenues and 81% of total revenues for the first quarter of 2021. So basically, this payment for order flow thing is a vast majority of their revenues, and that is, definitely a risk factor there, because they definitely point that out in the risk factors if you look at that specifically, basically because they're under scrutiny from the government and from a lot of people due to what happened in the beginning of 2021 with regard to GameStop and all those stocks and the halting of trading and stuff like that. So I think I definitely don't understand everything that's going on with that, or everything that happened there, and I think the vast majority of people probably don't know what really happened there. So I think that is something to keep an eye on, and something that could affect their future a little bit. And then also, I just wanted to look at executive compensation, because that's just fun. I was surprised Vlad Tenev and Baiju Bhatt, who are the two top guys, their salaries are only $400,000, which to most people probably seems like a lot, and that's, to me, doesn't seem that high for a CEO, but I would guess that they have a lot of stock options that they've already received in the past, and these other guys, the chief financial officer and legal officer, who are a bit newer, got a lot of stock options and bonuses this year. So, millions, tens of millions of dollars of worth there. So that's pretty wild. So now we're just going to take a look at the actual trades that I made on Robinhood stock. So as you can see here, my first order was on July 29th in the morning. At about 12 p.m. That's when it started trading, so I just bought 2 shares, and I think the initial price was supposed to be $40, or maybe it was $38, but I got those 2 shares right at $38. I actually submitted my order earlier that morning through that IPO access feature, and I got those 2 shares filled. So my thinking going into it was that I thought, there's maybe a chance that it could jump up a bunch at the IPO price, and if I'm setting this limit price of $40, I know I'm not going to have to pay any more than that. So if I can't get in until after it passes that $40, well, then I missed it. But if not, well, then I got those shares, and hopefully it goes up quickly and I can just go around and sell it in a few hours. Well, what happened, at least on the first day, is that Robinhood stock dropped a fair bit, a few percent. It was going up and down a little bit. So basically, few hours later, actually apparently it was only 6 minutes later, I thought it was longer, but I sold those 2 shares. So I bought those 2 shares at $38 a share, so that's a total of $76 invested, and then I sold those 2 shares at $36.70 a share, so that's $73.40 that I got back. And so that's basically a $2.60 loss, which I'm perfectly fine with. It went a lot lower that day and the next few days, but if we actually look at their stock right now, obviously I wish I had held, because the last few days it had went up a fair bit. It was up over $60. I think it got over 70 at some point. So even if I had just been able to sell in the $40 or $50 range, I would have made a few bucks, 5, 10, 15 bucks maybe, which would have been cool. But it is what it is. I did lose a few dollars, but I'm really not that worried about it. I think overall it was probably a good experience for me because I got involved in an IPO that I was sort of interested in. And for me, I don't think this is a company I would want to invest in for the long term, at least at this point, just because of some of the things going on with that payment for order flow and just some of the not sketchy stuff, but it looks a little bit sketchy, at least from some perspectives. And I really just am not entirely sure what the situation is with that, and I'm not really sure if it has come out at all or if anyone is really entirely sure of that situation yet. So at this moment, I'm just waiting it out, and like most IPOs, I'm just probably going to wait a while to consider investing again. So let me know what you guys do think of Robinhood stock if you have invested, and I will see you guys in the next video.